I think it's because he was losing that argument. He goes, you know what? To win this argument, I'll have sex with her. And the reason I say it's this like move is because when he talks about sex with her to other people, he literally goes like, oh yeah, got the job done. And it's like, all right, so another week of life, another week of Australian Married at First Sight. We're up to week 8, and boy, was this a juicy week. All right, so first off, following off from last week, Jaden and Eden are having issues. After last week where Jaden had his breakdown about Eden, Eden now hasn't shown up to their flight to homestays.
Eden and Jaden's homestay is off to a less than ideal start, as Eden missed her flight, leaving Jaden anxiously awaiting her arrival to their hometown on the Gold Coast.
Now, for the uninitiated, homestays are basically where the couples go and see how the other one lives. Eden's nowhere to be seen. She misses the flight. She shows up 2 to 3 hours late, which honestly, all in all, not that big of a deal.
Yeah, waiting ages.
I'll need to go get the keys.
3 hours later, how about we go?
But when she arrives, he's taking her to town for it. He goes, oh, you finally got here. Oh my God, like I thought I was going to be waiting forever. And honestly, I really don't like this here. The reason I don't like this is I don't think Eden's a bitch. I don't think she's a nasty woman. You can clearly see that she's struggling with anxiety. And for his response to a 2-hour delay that's a clear product of an anxiety attack to be so just kind of like cavalier, feels really, really callous and cold. Now, yes, you should always teach people how to treat you, and being consistently late is not an attractive trait, but dude, she eventually came like, drop it, and he just does not drop it. And that's kind of the big thing for Jaden this week. He just can't drop things. He literally starts going on, and he's like, we need to talk about our problems. We need to talk about them now. And she's like, I don't see the use in going over things that we've already gone over with the experts. He's like, well, the experts said we have to keep going and going. And at this point, she's giving really sincere apologies, but he just won't accept them.
I'm sorry for snapping. I know I need to not snap.
Yeah.
I've said this like 10 times. So yeah, can't change the past. I've already done it. So I just need to try not to snap.
I'm not asking you to change the past. We're just discussing it because the experts, they want us to talk about it some more.
Yeah.
So instead of just trying to apologise and shut the whole conversation down.
I just don't know what else to say. I'm just saying I'm sorry.
I don't know, we're just discussing it because that's what they want.
Yeah, so I'm saying I'm sorry for snapping and I need to try not to snap in the future.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say though.
Trying to talk out things with Eden, go over our problems and talk about how we're going to move forward, but all she wants to do is apologise. That way she can move straight on and it doesn't get talked about.
And I said this in a TikTok midweek, but if this was Tim and Sarah, I get it. The way Sarah apologizes to Tim for way worse things feels way more invalidating. She does the whole apology of like, okay, I'm sorry, shut up, whatever, we're done. Whereas Eden is genuinely giving heartfelt, sincere, guilty kind of apologies, and Jaden still isn't happy. To me, what it feels like is Jaden needs her to be wrong for him to be right, and he needs that reaffirmed all the time. And it's a really unhealthy relationship pattern that this need to not only be right, but for the other person to be wrong. And the experts highlight this later in the week where they say you're not in competition with your partner, you're meant to be a team. And Jaden just doesn't seem to get that. And you see this come up again when he goes and meets Mitch at homestays, his brother, who I loved in the previous season, but is so disappointing here. Jaden and Mitch talk about the situation, and Mitch's takeaway is like, sounds like the woman's walking all over you. I would never let a woman walk over me. And it's like, yeah, that's why you're single and that amazing girl you had left you, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you talking about? How is that your takeaway?
I think Jaden, he just needs to nip it in the butt and, sort it out quickly. Because if I was being controlled by a woman, that'd be me. See you later.
But on top of that, it's really interesting in this scene to actually see how Jaden talks about the situation, because as viewers, Eden doesn't seem that bad. Whereas the way he describes it to Mitch, it's like this really combative, like, she's toxic, she's the problem, she doesn't recognize anything I do for her. And it's like, yeah, okay, she slipped up, she said one mean thing, but dude, you gotta let it go. Next couple, Jono meets Lauren's friends, and this is a really interesting one because at first when we meet Lauren's friends, she's just really like nasty and cruel, and she's like, fuck Jono, I don't like him, I'm not gonna like him. But once she kind of eases up on him, it's actually really good to see, and I totally came round on the friend. But Jono crushes this, Lauren's really happy, and she actually comes to terms with a lot of the problems she was causing early on in the relationship. So she starts saying, yeah, I was really unfair on him, yeah, I was giving him a really hard time, but like, look how far we've come. It brings them close together, and they start knocking boots again, so well done, Jono. Oh my god, but next we have Jack and Tori, and oh my god, Jack's weird friend. So basically, I did a TikTok on this if you want to go find it, but Jack's female friend, or sorry, female client, because he's only friends with his gym client, just starts completely roasting Tori. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. It felt like bullying. It wasn't just like nice kind of questions of like, how's the relationship going? This bitch hates Tori, and clearly hates Tori because Tori's taking Jack away from her. Like, can we be honest? That girl wants to fuck Jack 100%, or they've already fucked, like 100%. What is going on there? There is so much weird, sexual, nasty, like girl against girl tension. It only makes sense if she's sexually attracted to him. You know, she doesn't say kind of like like normal standard things where she goes, oh, I just want to make sure you're there for the right reasons. Oh, are you guys fighting all the time? Oh, that's not great. She literally starts going like, oh, are all your friends guys? Well, if all your friends are guys, it's probably because you're just sleeping with them all. Which also, can I just say, rich to say when literally all of Jack's friends are females. But not only that, like female clients, like where's the self-awareness, woman?
So many things were said where I was just like, who are you? I don't know what Liz was trying to achieve. Her line of questioning was so negative and trying to find an issue or a concern.
Make it work for the sake of making it work. Like, you've been single for a while, you know, Jack's got a six-pack. Like, we don't know, maybe you're trying to make it work for the wrong reasons.
But then one of the big arcs for this season is the fact that Jack and Tori, 8 weeks in, still haven't slept together, despite being clearly really like horny sexual people. And this is all Jack's doing. Tori has tried to sleep with Jack countless times. She's expressed to the camera countless times that she wants to sleep with Jack, and Jack's the one that's holding off. He's been the one saying to the experts, yeah, I don't want to sleep with Tori, like I just don't feel that spark yet. And then this friend starts going like, oh, the fact that you guys aren't sleeping together clearly shows that something isn't right here. If I wasn't sleeping with my husband, like we'd be on the way out. And it's like, why are you saying this to Tori? Why are you coming at Tori? This is all Jack. Come at him. And she just refuses to. It's so weird. But then on top of that, this friend just starts bullying her. She starts going like, oh, I didn't like your vibe from the moment I saw you.
First impression was like, okay, this might work out, but you're based on the vows, she's not someone that I would be friends with.
I thought you were fake. I thought your whole boss bitch thing was really unattractive and uncool and phony. And at this point, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, like make it stop. And then she starts going like, oh, any girl whose coffee order is her like personality, that's like really cringe to me.
Anyone that makes their coffee order their personality is not my kind of person. Oh, you're in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
It's like a big Melbourne thing, right? And that's like, but that's a stereotype though, right? Like
thing.
Coffee wankers. But that's a stereotype though, right? Like coffee wankers.
And at that point, I was like, okay, this is bullying. Like, this is just really nasty personal attacks for no good reason. This has nothing to do with how their relationship's going. She's just trying to shit on her at this point. But then the painful Jack and Tori cringe doesn't stop there, because we follow this up with one of the worst date nights I've ever seen on mafs. Jack and Tori go on a date night, like a nice black tie event, and they start having this conversation about who's going to travel to see who after the whole experiment's done. Am I going to come to Queensland? Are you going to come to Melbourne? Whatever, right? Like, who's going to travel to who each week?
I would never say you need to come and see me every single weekend.
I'm not saying you need to, I'm saying it would be nice. I would like to have you around.
And basically, Tori says to Jack, I am willing to come to you every single weekend. I'm willing to fly out every single weekend to see you. And he goes, oh, is that really realistic? Like, are we really going to make the effort just to fly down for 2 days? And, you know, I work on Sundays, so it's like, really, you're only going to get a day? And here's the thing, he's making valid points. Like, logistically speaking, it doesn't sound like the most efficient thing. And if they were from like low income means and they couldn't afford that, like totally fair enough. But the thing is, she's not asking him to do that. She's offering to do that. And on top of that, like, if she's offering, let her. Like, she can learn that lesson if it's too hard logistically, but like, let her try, you know? The issue here isn't that Jack is wrong or right. He is right. Like, it is going to be logistically hard and a lot of effort for not a lot of reward in terms of actual quality time, but it's like, he does not seem keen. And that's the reason she's annoyed. He just does not seem remotely keen. Any normal person would be like, you'd be willing to do that for me? Holy fuck, like wifey material. Whereas he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, is that even realistic? Like, why would you want to do that? I mean, we can't have everything we want in life. So fucking strange. I don't know what Jack has going on with Tori. At first, I was like, I don't think he likes her that much and he just wants to stay on the show. But I have actually seen that they might be together after the show. Maybe he's more just channeling his energy. Maybe he just wants a long-term, low-commitment, long-distance girlfriend or whatever the fuck the expression is from there. Like, maybe that's just what he wants. And you know what? That's fine, but say that to Tori. Just be like, look, I want like a really easy, low commitment girlfriend. But the thing is, you went on Married at First Sight. You didn't go on like casual long distance girlfriended side. Like, what are you expecting to happen other than this gets more intense and more serious? So at one point, she's really pissed off at him, and he saves this by getting her a relatively mediocre necklace, a flower, and then apparently, and no one believes this, they fuck. Like, finally, he gets her a rose and shit, and I think it's because he was losing that argument. He goes, you know what? To win this argument, I'll have sex with her. And the reason I say it's this like move is because when he talks about sex with her to other people, he literally goes like, oh yeah, got the job done. And it's like, There's only one way that's a good thing, and that means you made her finish. But I don't think he means that. I literally think he means like, oh yeah, like it worked, I got it done, meaning like, oh, I've got her attached now. You know, like I held off and she was finally getting too annoyed about the fact that we hadn't slept together, and I did it, and now she's hooked. I think that's what he means, and that's a fucked up mentality to have, but Jack has it. While I was watching Married at First Sight live, a poll popped up, like a QR code popped up, and you could actually vote if you thought Jack and Tori actually slept together or whether they were lying to the group to get them off their back, and 90% of Australia said we think they're lying. Also, before the dinner party, Tim and Lucinda get in a massive fight. This is really hard to watch. Basically, Lucinda goes to Tim's home. It's a total mess. Now, Tim actually engaged with someone's TikTok and actually revealed that the reason he was so pissed off when he got home is because he paid like a 20-year-old guy to look after his apartment and clean it up, and basically he got home to an apartment full of dog shit and dog piss everywhere. So I do kind of get why he was annoyed, but Lucinda has to wear the brunt of this, which has been kind of the trajectory of their whole relationship. Now, two big things happen here. Tim opens up to her and says, hey, look, I'm grieving. I've got a lot going on. This is all a lot. It's all a lot of new stuff for me. I need some time alone. And you know what? Everyone's different. I can actually get behind someone who needs a little time alone to themselves in relationships. Totally fine. But the thing is, he goes, I'm going out to a bar. I just need to be alone. Then it turns out he's actually seen a friend. And then on top of that, he said it'd only be an hour, but he ends up being out to like 2 a.m. So for like 6 or 7 hours. This is totally terrible behavior. Even if you're not romantic partners, even if you're just friends, this is fucking bad. But as romantic partners, this is absolutely abhorrent. But what makes it worse is when Lucinda meets one of Tim's friends, they actually say, oh, he likes to dote for women. Like he likes to be really giving and really emotionally connected, which obviously she has not seen any of for like 8 weeks. So she's sitting there going like, oh my God, he clearly just doesn't like me. So they go out for a picnic that Lucinda organizes, and she starts talking to him and goes, hey, that lack of communication really hurt. The fact that you like stormed off really hurt me. And he just has a total hissy fit. This ends with him storming off from the picnic, yelling out and swearing like, I don't want to fucking talk about it. And I'm like, dude, at that point, like, Lucinda needs to leave. Like, that's toxic, that's awful. And you know what? No matter how much you're grieving, no matter how much you're going through, you cannot talk to someone like that, especially Queen Lucinda. Like, what are you doing?
And I don't want to poke you or ask too many questions because I know you get sensitive and the walls come up.
I told you I'm flat. I told you last week, and that's what I get so shitty at.
But Tim, this last 2 months, you're often feeling flat, or like I find you very moody generally.
I don't know what you want. I can't, there's too many words. Mate.
So at this point, I was like, fuck Tim. Like, I was watching the TV being like, fuck him. Like, I'm done. He had a bit of a redemption arc the past 2 weeks. This is really, really disappointing. I'm not happy about this. Yes, I didn't like Tim from the jump, but this doesn't fill me with joy because Lucinda's sad. So then we get to the dinner party and everyone's interrogating Jack and Tori, being like, did you really sleep together? And their reactions are so weird. Apparently he texted Ridge like, oh yeah, had sex, was good, the wind emoji, and everyone was like, does that mean you're fucking off, like you're gone with the wind, like you're leaving her now, or do you mean you like finish really quickly? Apparently it lasted 8 minutes, and like, look, if that was like the actual like sex itself, like sure, why are you disclosing that to people? Like, that's your first time and you just had like a relatively mundane like, oh yeah, we just went for like 8 minutes, whatever. Like, strange. I would have expected like candles, music, like we're gonna explore for like an hour or two, baby, let's really get to know each other, it was worth the wait. It's like all that just for like an 8 minute like whatever. And look, I'm not Alessandra, so whatever, you know, maybe I shouldn't be acting like the sexpert, but I don't know. I don't know, it's not lining up. The way they're talking about it, no one's particularly excited. It sounds very like, oh yeah, it was cool. It sounds like they went rock climbing or something. Really, really strange.
Did you consummate the marriage?
Did you consummate the marriage or?
Yeah.
I'll drink to that. Cheers.
Out of 10.
I think we'll all drink to that.
So was it good though?
No, it was good. It was good.
I'm not getting a lot of connection with these two.
Who initiated it?
I would say you initiated it.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
It's very measured, very guarded. There's not a lot of lightness or playfulness at all. They're just describing what happened.
Yeah, and things outside themselves.
Correct. It's almost like they're, you know, reading a book.
Now, honestly, as far as Married at First Sight dinner parties go, this one's really tame. There's just one big blow up where yet again, at this dinner party, people start coming for Jack and Tori. And Tori finally cracks it and goes, you know what? I'm sick of you guys. after this experiment's done, I'm not going to be friends with any of you. That's why I focus on Jack. That's why I keep defending him, because he's the one I'm here to marry.
Going, I could absolutely fall in love with Jack. Jack, how do you feel?
Anyone else got something to say? Have you made up the sleeping thing to take the heat off? Oh, sorry.
Did you kiss your wife to take the heat off?
You are fiery.
Yeah, I'm very fiery.
That's the problem that we have. You're fiery, but we've never seen you fiery at him.
Yeah. Problem is that you don't feel anything towards the
You
shitty
can't
things
tell
that Jack
me how
has
I feel! Just trust what I'm doing is right. And if it's not, you can all laugh.
We don't want to do that.
So then stop questioning it and let it go.
Oh my God. Open your eyes.
You know what? I'm going to be real with you all. After this, you are no one at this table. Maybe you at the beginning. I would want to spend time with after this experiment. None of you have, none.
And you know what? I know that was a mean thing to say. I know the show has framed this as a massive villain moment. I fucking agree. Like, look, I don't think Jack and Tori are good to each other. I don't think they're great people. However, week after week, it has just been Tori going, I'm in the relationship. I see stuff that you guys don't see. I know he makes me happy. Can you please trust me? She's been begging for this for weeks, and the group every week just likes to rag on Jack. And yeah, Jack's not great. Like, he's a bad dude, I agree. But at what point does the group stop? And if it takes Tori to say that, I'm kind of with her. It was a mean thing to say, but yeah, she's been saying it for weeks, and at this point, they clearly do think Tori's stupid, and they keep saying they don't. They keep going, no, Tori, we don't think you're stupid. We just look out for you. And it's like, no, you do. Because you don't listen to her. So honestly, I kind of get it. Next, there's this really brief moment. I think the producers were trying to mine drama here, but basically Ridge gets told off for being really immature. It's really weird that Tori starts doing this. You know, all I heard Ridge say was like, I'm not vanilla, like I'll do different positions. And Tori really started roasting him and saying it's disgusting. And it's like, really? After the muzzle your woman comment, you're going to come after Ridge just for basically saying that he enjoys sex? Like, really? Honestly, I think the show was just fishing for drama here. I don't even think Jade is that annoyed. At the commitment ceremony, she doesn't bring this up once. And yeah, Ridge makes some jokes, but he's a psychiatric nurse. He probably just needs a break after he gets home from work, and that's his way of coping. I really don't think the show need to make such a big deal about his slightly juvenile sense of humor. Honestly, in my opinion, he gets away with it. He feels a lot less smarmy than a lot of other dudes. You know, look at Richard from a few weeks ago when he said lick, suck, fuck. There's way worse than what Ridge is doing here. Next, Jaden and Eden have a massive blow up. So going into the commitment ceremony, Eden's like, I'm having a lot of anxiety. You're going to want to fight. They're going to ask us how our relationship is going, and instead of being a united front, you're going to start being like, oh, we're having issues. And she's like, I don't want to be there for that. I don't want to fight in front of people. I don't want to be held accountable in front of people. And that's what keeps happening. And instead of going, baby, let's go to the dinner party. You're right. I'm not going to put you through that. We'll be a united front and we can talk about all this stuff later. He literally goes, yeah, well, you know, that's the experiment. And like, they're going to ask, so we're going to have to do it. I'm like, are you fucking serious, dude? And look, I get it. Sometimes you have to be honest, but she hasn't been a shit partner. She's trying her best and she's asking you not to embarrass her. And instead of going like, oh, I'll go easy, I've got you. He literally goes, oh, well, I'm going to have to. Sorry. That's like, you literally don't have to. Hug your wife. It was so fucking painful to watch. So then they get to the dinner party and she just leaves because she's having an anxiety attack. And then they have this awful, awful conversation that just goes round and round and round in circles. And you see that this guy in previous weeks that has seemingly been pretty good is just completely falling from grace. You see his communication style. It's so painful.
I don't think you quite understand what I'm saying.
I don't. I'm going to be straight up with you and honest. And I don't think you understand what I'm saying either. Because when you say things like, I'm not going,
I feel for her. Look at her face.
Yeah.
She clearly really likes him, but he doesn't know how to handle her anxiety.
every day told me you want to go, but then you've ended up staying. But even though you end up staying, you're still restricting and then holding back and not letting me share everything with everyone.
And she's given up the fight.
And he doesn't get it, and he keeps going and going and going.
This is a monumental problem.
Oh, yes.
Huge.
I don't want to argue either.
He's talking to this woman, this quite vulnerable woman next to him, like he's the security guard.
Yeah.
That's the role he's gone into.
Yeah.
Go back to Sydney, I'm staying here, I'm leaving.
My relationship with Jaden, it's kind of got to a breaking point for me because I really adore Jaden, but I am honestly scared of conflict with him because I can't get out of it once I'm in it.
Now, I said this in my TikTok as well, and I said this in the last video. I can't tell if this is on purpose or not. I can't tell if he's being manipulative and he's trying to get pity or not. He just talks over her and constantly defends her, and you can hear he's almost crying. And they play this great section where she's like, you know, when we talk or when we fight or when we argue, like, I can never get a word in. He just keeps going and going and going. And you hear him in the background say the same shit over and over again. And it's just so hard to watch. I feel so bad for Eden here. But honestly, I almost feel a bit bit bad for Jaden, depending on how much of this is intentional or not. If it's intentional, he's a massive piece of shit. Fuck him. We have this kind of confirmed in the commitment ceremony where he seems genuinely shocked that his communication style is considered toxic. So let's talk about the commitment ceremony. He's taken a task by the experts for how he communicates with Eden. They talk about the fact that he constantly talks over them and repeats himself and doesn't validate her and doesn't hear her out. And he seems genuinely perplexed by this information. He goes like, oh, I thought you guys want us to over communicate. I thought that's what you wanted. And I actually love the bluntness of John here. He basically says, well, yes, we can see you're trying, but you're doing a bad job at it.
I just feel like I don't have a voice.
Yeah, there are times that I speak too much, but I always try and listen and really understand how
I think
she
what we're
feels.
saying tonight, Jaden, is that you're doing a bad job of it.
Am I just going to be told I'm wrong by you guys, or am I actually going to be allowed to say how I feel?
You said you were here to learn.
Yeah, I am, absolutely.
Then that's a defensive position.
I just don't want to say the wrong thing is all, and then you know,
I think you're being
here.
a bit childish now.
And honestly, again, depending on whether he's been intentionally manipulative or he's actually just a bit dim, this was kind of a hard moment to watch. It seems like he's genuinely having a realization of like, oh shit, like I'm not a good partner. I'm not doing well at this, and I thought I was doing the right thing.
Jaden, do you feel like you're a failure in this relationship?
Yeah.
I don't feel like that.
Again, however, if he is a bit narcissistic and this is all just an act, fuck him. But truthfully, on my end, I felt kind of bad for him. It seemed like he was trying in his own fucked up, weird way. But he clearly needs to grow and learn how to be a better partner, and he needs to do that fast. Next, Tori basically defends Jack again to the experts. They kind of go easy on her here, and they basically just ask why she made that comment about like the fact that she's not going to be friends with anyone after the experiment. She doubles down a bit and basically says like, oh, I was getting really worked up, I was getting really exhausted, and I have to put up with this week after week after week, and instead of coming out of sadness and crying, it came out in anger, and I'm really sorry. But honestly, I'm still kind of with her. What I'm not with her on is the fact that at the start of this episode, she has news clearly given to her by the producers, by the way, but she has gossip about another couple, specifically Jono and Lauren. And my issue is she seems genuinely really excited to ruin their relationship. She says this to the camera. She goes, I've got juicy gossip and I'm excited to blow up their relationship. Awful thing to say. Like, why say that? Why take joy in the fact that you're going to have to do something like this? But whatever, she does it. And basically this big reveal is that Jono has actually been texting Ellie, that wife of Ben that left a few weeks ago. He's been texting Ellie for weeks now. Now, this one's a really interesting one because yes, can guys and girls be friends? Sure, but it does feel sus because they're all there to get married. And it feels even more sus. Clearly, Jono and Ellie did have a lot of chemistry in the show throughout the episodes. And on top of that, he consistently defended her and went out of his way to do so, more so than he did for Lauren. So already not looking great for Jono. On top of that, really interesting kind of like metatextual moment. We all know, if you've been following Married at First Sight drama, that they actually pair up after the show is finished airing. There's been these photos leaking that they're like an established couple. So minor spoiler, Jono and Lauren do not end up together. But I guess the big reveal here is that Jono and Ellie were already texting.
I was made privy to some information today that Jono, you had been texting Ellie.
There's absolutely nothing there. She's not my type.
It's weird though.
It's just a bit triggering for me, clearly.
Yeah, I know.
In the past, I've just felt like a fool. Like I've been around other women that like were messaging my long-term partner.
Yeah, I know.
Now, the fact that we know they end up together makes all of this look so much worse, but here's what I think's going on. Here's my kind of like armchair expert opinion. I don't think he's been sending sexual images. I don't think he's been doing something like terribly wrong at this point. I think if she went through his phone, it'd probably be really awkward, really painful, but mostly she'd probably just be sad that he's clearly connecting with a woman that isn't her. And that's totally valid, and that's totally fair enough, and there is totally a case to be made about whether it's emotional cheating or not. 100%. Totally fair. Not going to push back against it, but his demeanor here and his response here, what it feels like to me is happening is he does actually have feelings for Ellie. I think he's had feelings for Ellie since he met her at the start of the show, and he's been trying to do the right thing by Lauren and be with her. And then Lauren was a total nightmare in the first couple weeks, and I think he knows it's probably never going to work long term with Lauren, and he wants it to, and he wants to make it try work, but it's not going to. And he's kind of keeping Ellie as like a plate, right? He's keeping Ellie as an option. Yeah, anyway, all this being said, basically what it feels like to me is he does have a crush on Ellie. He hasn't done anything like physically, tangibly wrong, but he has feelings that shouldn't be there while he's with Lauren. And the thing is, yes, he should cut communication so those feelings dissipate, or end it with Lauren and then start with Ellie down the line. And unfortunately, it's come out and come to a head probably earlier than he had hoped. So this was really painful and honestly really hard to watch. I felt really bad for Lauren here. I felt a bit awkward and bad for Jono here, providing he hasn't actually cheated or sent any inappropriate messages or images. I think it's just a really awkward situation. I think he's probably connected with someone who he shouldn't. And even though he hasn't acted on it, he knows like deep down he probably wants to. Lauren's clearly heartbroken. She's saying like, this reminds me of patterns with my exes. This is how it always starts. And unfortunately, given what we know, this is how it starts. We do know that they end up together.
Seriously traumatized from my past relationships, and like it's just, this is like how it all kind of started.
Now, whether there's actual cheating or not going on, we will find out. But this is just really hard to watch. I feel so bad for Lauren here. Like, her breakdown is so reasonable, so rational. She highlights all these issues of like, there's a reason she's not messaging me and she's only messaging you. She's obviously got her eyes on you. Even if you don't have your eyes on her, it's a tough watch. It's a tough watch. Everything Lauren says is right. Jono clearly feels shitty and guilty. I think the reason he isn't more combative, more defensive, or actually being like, seriously, nothing's going on, like check my phone, is because I think he does just have feelings for Ellie, and he doesn't want to sit there with a shit-eating grin and lie and gaslight to everyone, especially if eventually they end up together. So just a really awful situation. Jono shouldn't be texting her. Jono needs to sort his feelings out in private, probably go to therapy, right? Clearly it's come to a head earlier than he'd hoped. Anyways, really interested to see what happens this week. Apparently there's a massive dinner party tomorrow, so I'll be doing a video on that. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe if you're enjoying these videos, and check out my TikTok and my YouTube shorts for this show. Thank you so much.